So there's a news article on The Hill, was dated May 29th, 2019, and it's called Durbin Urges Acting FDA Chief to Crack Down on E-Cigarettes. Now, I'm going to say it as a side note, if anyone listens to this, that those particular FDA complaints, as well as the Consumer Product Safety Commission complaint against JAs, um, I had forwarded all those complaints, all the FDA complaints, including Vapor Miniman's complaint. I forwarded them to Dick Durbin, and I also forwarded them to Kevin Hearn. That's Hern. He's my Oklahoma representative in the United States House of Representatives. I thought, well, the FDA tends to drag their feet sometimes, and maybe it'll give Senator Durbin a little bit of oomph to whatever he's doing here, as far as taming the wild, wild west. And there's a few others that I'm about to send all those complaints and the not only the FDA but also the Consumer Product Safety complaint to. Um, so anyway, just wanted to share that little side note. So and that was I mailed that not mailed I emailed those out on about a couple days ago. So it says the food. Make this just a little bit bigger. It says the Food and Drug Administration needs to immediately remove kid-friendly electronic cigarette flavors from the market to crack down on Juul's claims that it can help people quit smoking, a top Senate Democrat said Wednesday. In a letter to acting FDA Commissioner Ned Sharpless, Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat out of Illinois, said he doesn't understand why the agency isn't taking action to address the sharp increase in youth vaping. Durbin outlined actions he thinks Sharpless needs to take to curb youth use of e-cigarettes, but said that after a meeting with Sharpless earlier this month, he does not think the acting commissioner has any intention of dealing with the issue. Durbin stated, "It is my belief that any person leading the FDA must first and foremost feel a deep sense of responsibility to protect the health and well-being of all Americans, especially our nation's children. Unfortunately, based on our meeting, I do not have confidence that you are that leader." And then Durbin urged Sharpless not to appeal a federal judge's ruling earlier this month that would require the agency to speed up its review of thousands of e-cigarettes on the market. Durbin stated, "We know that kids are attracted to these products because of the kid-friendly flavors that your agency is currently and explicitly refusing to regulate. You have the explicit authority to end FDA's senseless decision to suspend public health review of e-cigarettes and cigars and take action today." Durbin also said the agency needs to immediately enforce its own deeming rule, which prohibits any new cigarette product from coming to market after August 8, 2016 without FDA approval. According to Durbin, new products are coming to market seemingly daily without FDA approval, and yet he said FDA has not ordered the removal of a single product for this violation. For example, Durbin noted that popular e-cigarette company Juul's mango and cool cucumber flavors did not come to market until 2017, and they did so without FDA approval. Durbin stated it defies the logic that a federal regulatory agency such as FDA would not have an understanding of which products are on the market legally and which are on the market illegally. Durbin said called for the agency to remove all e-cigarette products that were not widely and commercially available before 2016 deeming rule took effect. Durbin also said Sharpless needs to stop Juul from marketing itself as a way to help adults quit smoking. Durbin wrote, FDA has the authority to stop this deceptive marketing campaign. Use it. The FDA told The Hill it has received the letter and will respond directly to Durbin. An agency spokesman said Sharpless is committed to continuing to tackle the troubling epidemic of e-cigarette use among kids This includes preventing youth access to and appeal of flavored tobacco products like e-cigarettes and cigars, taking action against manufacturers and retailers who illegally market or sell these products to minors, and educating youth about the dangers of e-cigarettes and other tobacco products. So hopefully my email will help Durbin in his crusade. I certainly, even though he's Democrat, I certainly support his effort to tame the wild, wild west and to get this whole youth epidemic under control. And Kevin Hearn, he's a Republican out of Oklahoma that I also emailed all those FDA complaints and the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Now, I don't know exactly where Hearn stands out with vaping. He never, what I have found, and it's, as far as his past archives are concerned, he doesn't really, he's not for it or against it. He doesn't speak of it. So who knows where he will um, stand at. Now, I'm supposed to have some kind of a scheduled quote unquote meeting with Dick Durbin. It could be by way of probably telephone because, you know, I'm not going to travel to Washington, D.C. to meet him, though they certainly would prefer that. But I certainly would like to speak to him on the phone. They have to arrange all that. So that's going to take a little time. But um, so we'll see what happens with that. See if he will call or probably one of his assistants will call me and then take it from there. But hopefully, like I said in the email to him, that it's one thing to speak about it from an outside stance. That is, like Dick Durbin's speaking about the issue from a political point of view, as well as from his own position from the outside. But I'm more, I've been vaping since April 2011. I know much about the vaping industry, let alone so-called community. I can give a lot of information to him to help him understand, just like I gave a lot of information to Stanton Glantz and the his. I don't want to go into too much detail as to her role, but I will say that she has a lot of input into the FDA, let's say. And so I rather call her more like an assistant to a Stanton Glantz, which they do work hand in hand. But I spoke about that earlier in a different video, so I don't need to go there. But we need to tame the wild, wild west, and the FDA do, they move at a snail's pace, and hopefully the information that I supplied to Dick Durbin as well as Kevin Hearn and a few others I'm about to mail these FDA complaints that I've done, as well as the Consumer Product Safety Commission complaint in regards to Jay Hayes. And then I do plan to any FDA complaints that I do send to the FDA or the Consumer Product Safety Commission. I do plan to forward them to Dick Durbin and Kevin Hearn and whoever else is on my list. It's only less than like 5 people that's on my list that I'm going to email to. So hopefully that kind of insider information that I supply from the trenches, because like I was telling Dick Durbin that in the email, is that I'm speaking from the vaping experience. I'm in the trenches. I'm speaking from the inside out, so to speak. Rather, he's more looking at it from his own viewpoint, but on the outside of the vaping experience. And so I truly believe that it'll help him in his crusade if he has someone that's a vapor that knows what's going on, supply him the correct information so it will help him with putting policy together, as well as getting the FDA off their tuchus so they move forward. Now, like he says, he urged interim FDA Commissioner Ned Sharpless not to appeal. I also stated that in the email that it's not the appeal that I worry about so much. It's the stay on the lower court ruling that is, let's say, that the FDA appeals, but they also move the court through the United States Department of Justice. They move the court to stay whatever deadline they come up with in 2019. So let's say hypothetically it's December 1st, 2019 is the deadline, okay? To get the PMTAs into submissions to the FDA. Just a hypothetical. Don't hold me to the December 1st, 2019, okay? I'm not privy to the judge's chambers, or not privy to his way of thinking at all. So, no one is, not even Dick Durbin. No one is. But the point is what I'm concerned about is if they put a stay on that. So what that means, like I said in the other video, let's say the FDA or the United States Department of Justice, they move the court to put a stay on that deadline. So what happens is that, let's say hypothetically, the December 1st, 2019 deadline goes away, and it goes right back to the August 8th of 2021. So if they don't move the lower court ruling or the lower court to stay that, then the December 1st, 2019 will be the deadline. Whereas if they do move the court and they put a stay, then it will be August 8th of 2021. So that's my fear. It's not so, because on appeal, the FDA is going to lose. I have no problem with that. It's just a matter of time. It could take a year or two. What concerns me is the stay. That's my main focus is, and they may very well get a stay on that. Absolutely. And if the lower court judge, Judge Grimm, Grimm, doesn't put a stay on it, what they could do is the United States Department of Justice, who represents the FDA and the United States Department of Health and Human Services, what they could do a motion to the Court of Appeals for the Court of Appeals to put a stay on it. It depends on, normally what will happen, the reason why they will put a stay on it is because there's a probability that the FDA will win up on appeal. What I could tell, and what I've spoken to people outside of YouTube, of course, is that the FDA is going to lose on appeal because the statutory framework is there already. It says it right there in the Family Smoking Prevention Tobacco Control Act, 2 years after the effective date. It's for every single final rule operates that way. And it's not just the Food and Drug Administration. It could be any agency. They will either have, however it's written into their statutes. Could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, whatever it can be. But once that's written in stone, the only body of government to change that is Congress. In our particular case, in the FDA final rule in regards to vaping, we have a 2-year that's written in stone from the effective date. So it brings you from August 8th of 2016 to August 8th, 2018. That's written in stone. That's statutory. No judge can change that. And the funny thing is, if you submit your PMTAs to the FDA, once you submit it to the FDA and it's under review, the FDA is willing to leave those particular products of whatever company had submitted to the FDA on the market for 1 year. And that's not at all in the Family Smoking Prevention Tobacco Control Act of 2009. That is something that the FDA added in the FDA final rule, which really is not at all written in statute either. So the FDA certainly took their liberal stance on a lot of things and added a lot of areas that are not written in statutory law. The only body of government can change that statute is Congress. Now, courts can sometimes apply common law. They can sometimes apply common law in the lower court, let alone the appeals court. U.S. Supreme Court, sometimes they will do common law, but not very often. But what that means is that the court itself, if they believe there's a need to do so based upon variable factors, that they can go outside of the statute and say, well, that particular statute was unconstitutional or whatever have you. And if they do it that way, then they can apply their common law, authority, and get around that statute. Will they apply that up on appeal with the FDA? It's anybody's guess. But as far as what I gather, they're going to lose on appeal. But like I said, I'm not concerned about the appeal. I'm more concerned about the stay, because if there's a stay, then it goes right back to the August 8, 2021. In fact, like I stated to Dick Durbin, what I would have preferred the judge to have done, Judge Grimm, is when his ruling came out, it should have been over already. That is, it ought to have gone right back to the August 8th, 2018. But he's being, I guess, trying to be reasonable, trying to be understanding, and giving the FDA some time to get their act together in the year 2019. But I mean, he's even exercising a little bit of his own common law, the lower court judge. So there's variables involved. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I guess he's trying to work with the FDA the best he can. Like I said, it's not the appeal that bothers me particularly, as well as others. It's mainly the stay on that ruling, and that's what you, well, have to look out for. Now, once all these motions are in, I'll do a follow-up video up on that particular ruling of the judge that I did. I'll show it in Zoom once all those motions are in that he requested of these parties, the health groups and the FDA. And then I'll do a video of that. And then if it goes up on appeal, of course, I'm going to do that as well. But especially, I'm going to look for the stay on the ruling. And normally, how the process works is before the entire record goes up on appeal, meaning everything in the lower court goes up on appeal, that's when the FDA, through the United States Department of Justice, will move the court for a stay. And once it's stayed, then they appeal, not appeal, but then they move the entire record up on appeal. They can't introduce. I mean, they move the entire record up to the Court of Appeals, but they can't add any new evidence. But nevertheless, the entire record goes up on appeal. So I just want to explain that process. So keep your eye out on phrases that come out like stay on the ruling, stay on the lower court ruling, stay on the judge's order, stay on the memorandum of opinion of the court. You want to, the key word is stay. That's STAY. Anyway, so but I'm gonna work with Durbin and with Hearn to a degree. I don't know exactly where he stands at, but I have a better footing with Durbin. I know he's Democrat, but he wants to tame the Wild West. He wants to put some fire on the FDA's rear end. I've been speaking about that for over a year and a half since former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb. And hopefully the emails that I send him, as well as future FDA complaints and Consumer Product Safety Commission complaints, will fuel, and it will fuel his flames, as well as it will give him some oomph to what he's trying to do. I do not mind crossing the line. I've been a Republican all my life, but I don't mind crossing the line if I truly believe it needs to be done. Just like Vapors had no problem supporting Sanford Bishop when they had the Cole Bishop Amendment. Sanford Bishop was a Democrat out of Georgia. Vapors had no problem supporting him all of a sudden because, well, he was in support of the Cole Bishop Amendment. That was the whole point. Tom Cole, Republican out of Oklahoma. Sanford Bishop, Democrat out of Georgia, was bipartisan, so no one had a problem with that. But of course, if all of a sudden I'm in cahoots with Dick Durbin, all of a sudden you guys are against me, right? Because it's against vaping. But I'm not looking at it in terms of vaping. I'm looking at it in terms of what's best for us, believe it or not. I'm thinking in terms of more long term, not your immediate selfish, gratification of today. We need to tame the wild, wild west. YouTubers, the superstore YouTube celebrities won't tame the wild, wild west, and I'm going to do everything in my power to try to tame the wild, wild west one way or another. So hopefully the information that I supply Dick Durbin will help the effort, and I have about 2 other people that I need to send it to, and I'll eventually tell you who I sent them to. It'll be you'd be rather amazed at the two other people that have a bit more a pull in the federal government. Anyway, I just want to share this with you. I just want to give you up to date on to where Dick Durbin's standing at, and where I even stand at with what's going on with these particular FDA complaints and Consumer Product Safety Commission complaint. And anything that comes out that has a manufacturer finished product product date after August 8, 2016 is going to go not only into the Food and Drug Administration as a complaint or the Consumer Product Safety Commission, but will also be sent immediately to Dick Durbin, to Kevin Hearn, and then the two other people on the list. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Bye-bye.